Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, however you found me. I'm just so thankful that you're here. Today we are on week 34 of our book called Queen of the Castle, 52 Weeks of Encouragement for the Uninspired, Domestically Challenged, or Just Plain Tired Homemaker by Lynn Bowen Walker. And in our week today, our title is The Job of Queen, Homemaking is Profession, Part 1. I love that she puts this in here. She talks about it in the beginning. She talks about it now. She talks about it a few times during the book, and it's so important. It's easy for us as homemakers to undermine what we do, the work that we do. And if we don't value it, others will not value it. And sometimes we can overlook what the outside world or how the outside world perceives us, but it's so important for us that our family sees it. And she talks about this, and actually this is a really interesting piece of history that I want to share with you. And it talks about, this is what she says: most of the work that mothers do at home is invisible, not because it doesn't happen, but because the culture refuses to acknowledge it as work that requires skills and talents. And she is referencing a book by Darcy Sanders and Martha Boland, who wrote Staying Home from Full-Time Professional to Full-Time Parent. This is I'm a history buff. I love history. I've got my pictures up there. Historians can pinpoint the long ago government decision that brought about the devaluing of a woman's work at home. In U.S. Census data prior to 1850, each family's economic activity was reported collectively. In other words, the census did not report on what the father did, the mother did, and the children did. It was assumed that the family worked together as a unit, and as a unit made its income from the family business. It was only after 1850, as more and more men left their farms or cottage industries and began to work for someone else, that employment began to be tallied individually. Now, the census was interested in knowing the profession, occupation, or trade of each individual in the household. Though the great majority of women described their occupation as housekeeper, according to The Price of Motherhood by Anne Crittenden, a decision was made in 1870 that only the women who kept house for someone else for pay would be counted. Thus, in one fell swoop, the arduous labor of homemakers who cooked, laundered, cared for children, tended the garden, canned, cleaned, raised animals, sewed, and performed other duties for their families was dismissed as irrelevant. Well, this is really interesting. Here we are in a pandemic, and probably with the people that I know in my life, those women who have chosen to stay home with their children, they're the ones that seem to adapt so much easier to the children being home. And it makes complete sense. For a woman who works outside the home, or mom and dad work outside the home, they're now having to figure out childcare, schooling, and on top of bringing in an income. So with the pandemic, those who already are on a single income from the father or from the mother, whoever stayed home, and whoever's working, however that works in your life, that single income household adapts a little bit easier, only because they're already home. And so juggling in one more thing, well, we kind of have to be a willow. We have to figure it out. So it doesn't mean it can't be done if there are two incomes. But again, you're relying on other people, usually for childcare, or you're struggling with that balance. And my heart actually bleeds for the parents today and how they're having to juggle all of that. And it's not necessarily easy for the stay-at-home parent either. However, because they're already home, they're just learning to juggle things a little bit differently. And part of the learning might be that the children are taking on a little bit more responsibility, helping out in the house or in the yard or so on and so forth. Because maybe that's PE. PE is going out and mow the lawn or rake of the leaves or whatever. I don't know. But we each, even our spouse who works outside the home, they still have responsibilities when they come home. But it is so nice, and that's one of the things my husband has said. It is so nice that he can come home and not worry about things. Now, we of course are in a season where we have moved. We have moved his mom, and we have a lot of organizing. He has not had much time to organize his shop, and he's been slowly working on that when he's had time. And to me, that's exciting that he has a place where he can go and do his thing. I have this lovely office that he has given me, allowed for me to have this space. So this is where I sew. This is where I do my so a lot of my sewing business comes from this room here. I think machine's behind me, but I just want you to realize that we all have value regardless of whether we're bringing in an income or not. We each have a value, and I just want to encourage you to strive and find that value. This is really neat. I'm from Oregon. I live in Oregon. I live in a little town called Boring now. And she references Portland, which is not from here. It was a gorgeous summer day as I browsed through the gift shop I'd wandered into while on vacation in Portland, Oregon. While leafing through a book, I heard the man behind me say, "I applaud you in your endeavors." I looked at him puzzled. My endeavors? And paging through a book? Your shirt, he chuckled. I'd forgotten. I was wearing my sidetracked home executives t-shirt, the one that lists the Mother's Creed on the back. I am responsible for creating a climate of love, peace, joy, beauty, abundance, health, and order in my home. I am raising future citizens of the United States of America. What do you do? Take pride in what you do. You are valuable. And to see my oldest take on the same responsibility I did of being home with our children, it's such a beautiful thing to watch. Blessings to you, and I'll see you next week.